Home of Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, and Dianne Feinstein. Guess what you can get in San Francisco now? Believe it or not, concealed carry weapons permits. Stick around, and we're going to be talking to Raymond Kim about this amazing news.
You got to be kidding me.
I don't know.
You're not spoofing me, right?
Well, let's see what he has to say.
Well, hey, Blackhound Optics, accurate, affordable, guaranteed sporting optics that go the distance. Backed by customer service that goes that extra mile. Great guys, great products, and a great company that is making optics affordable. On top of quality optics, they pay close attention to the customer experience. Did you know their scopes come with mounts? So you don't have to worry about finding out the one that fits. And we are so excited to have them as their official partner of the show. And for them ask for them at your local gun store or find them online at blackhoundoptics.com.
So we're going to talk to Raymond Kim. Raymond is a Second Amendment activist, and you're actually going to get to see more of him on it's a panel discussion that we have coming up. Should be out this week on the uptick in violence against Asian Americans in America, especially in California. Raymond is extremely involved in Second Amendment activism and is an all-around great guy. How you doing, Raymond?
Hey, Michael. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for coming on the air with us. So talk to us about CCWs in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure everybody's somewhat shocked about LA, but I guess San Francisco, it seems like they're taking baby steps. Given everything that's going on in San Francisco, and pretty much everybody. Just common sense, but academic research also shows that, criminals pick on people that are vulnerable. And largely in New York and San Francisco, you pretty much know everybody walking around definitely does not have a CCW, and they are vulnerable.
Because cities like New York and San Francisco, they because they don't typically issue CCWs, criminals know that, hey, nobody out there is armed. Nobody's going to be able to defend themselves, so everybody's a walking target.
Yeah, absolutely. And, studies, Wright and Rossi, 1994, they interviewed over 5,000 felons, and the vast majority of felons say that they try to find out if their victim is armed or not. Yeah. And if they are armed, they want to leave them alone. They want to pick on somebody else.
Criminals' number one fear is an armed victim. That's not a bumper sticker. That was basically scientifically proven from this survey that you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so San Francisco, I emailed them because I know we had so many people from San Francisco join Asian American Gun Owners of California. When all the violence around New Year's, Chinese New Year's, was happening in late January, early February, especially with the murder of Vicha, the 84-year-old senior from Thailand who was helping out with his grandkids in San Francisco, and basically knowing that we had a lot of members that were kind of desperate, and they're just they're kind of joining and trying to figure out how to even buy a gun, and how to even defend themselves, or what the laws are and everything like that, or even to find a support group where it's kind of normalized. So I reached out to San Francisco sheriffs, and basically I was trying to really pressure them into, hey, what's going on? Why this is your anti-CCW policy is disproportionately impacting Asian Americans, because look at all these hate crimes, and not having CCWs is terrible for what's going on with all the seniors and women. And they basically got back to me. The legal team at San Francisco Sheriff's sent me their CCW packet. And then I kind of I looked through it, and it's they have some kind of strange requirements. They basically have it so that you can't conceal carry a 1911. You can't have a 380 ACP, only 9mm, 40, 45, and there's a list of brands that they'll be okay with. But the biggest question is what is good cause? What's their good cause requirement?
So let me, but
you
Raymond,
know,
let me just kind of recap here. So when you reached out to the sheriff's department, did you just email their general info ed, or who exactly did you reach out to?
I just kept on calling, and I kind of, I was threatening legal action because I'm pretty sure our members are willing to, put in money to sue San Francisco sheriffs if we had to, because San Francisco sheriffs is the only county in all of California that does not have a dedicated CCW unit. But they have a backgrounds unit that kind of does it, as their side, responsibility. But, it's nowhere on their website. There's nothing about it. I literally had to call and threaten to sue, on behalf of our members to even get an application and find out that there is an application and there is a process.
So, all right. So you called up and it followed up and really hammered them, and finally their legal counsel sent you an application and said, what was it was it kind of a, here's an application, apply, go for it, or what was their general, what were you supposed to do with that application? Just see that it existed, or were they trying to tell you, we'll issue? Yeah,
I guess they're kind of sending it as in like, oh, if your members are that mad, well, here it is, you could send it to them, kind of thing. And I guess, I mean, definitely, had to, try to, it basically, I think they weren't really, this isn't something that they normally do unless, somebody really bugs them about it. And they said they only had 2 applications in all of last year. And San Francisco has the highest, property crime rate in all of California. So, like, for only 2 people to have applied, I mean, it's not on their website. It's not talked about anywhere. I don't think they would have sent it to me unless, they basically had the lawyer send it to me. Their chief legal counsel send it to me because I think, they're trying to. I think they're really prepared to possibly get sued unless they send me something and show that, hey, we're trying, and here's the process. So
So what's the next step? Are is someone gonna apply? I know we've seen. We were actually at a seminar not too long ago that had a bunch of different counties represented, including counties like Imperial and LA, who aren't really known for issuing permits. And in LA County, the sheriff just had a conversation online where he talked about, hey, this is how many we have in the pipeline. And, in a lot of different counties, a lot of counties are starting to issue more and more. Counties that really didn't issue before are issuing, and people are starting to adopt kind of a standard process. In fact, it appears to me that a lot of people are copying Orange County's process. Orange County seems to kind of have, a process in place that makes a lot of sense, and it's pretty efficient, and they're using Permidium and everything. So a lot of most counties.
You're talking about their online application.
Right. And most counties are issuing, really, in California. Mm-hmm. So, do you think is San Francisco following suit, or what do you think's what's next?
Yeah, so one thing that's actually kind of interesting, it seems like, because I was trying to get to what is good cause, and I kept on asking the woman that that collects the material, and she basically says she sends it to the chief legal counsel of San Francisco sheriffs, and then the chief legal counsel basically gives it to the sheriff. So the sheriff himself reads it and decides. Like in most other counties, there's kind of this guideline, and then the head of the CCW unit just kind of, says, hey, this is approved, and then the sheriff just kind of signs it off as if, like it probably takes a couple seconds just, going through the paperwork or something. But literally, like the sheriff, Miyamoto, he's really reading them, and he's deciding himself. So I think if he's only had 2 applications, it could be, I'm kind of hopeful because his family was incarcerated in the Japanese incarceration camps in World War II. So, if anybody that had family or they lived through that, they're so pro-Constitution. They hate the idea of anyone's constitutional rights being taken away. Yeah. So I have this hope that maybe, there is a part of him that's kind of like, believes in that. And, at the same time, if he's only had 2 applications, and, I guess it is kind of, it would be, so I told my members today online, hey, the sheriff himself is deciding. So, it'd be nice to get some more, feedback to what good cause is by actually applying. But, at the same time, I don't believe in, if you apply and you get denied, that is a mark on your record because, on the CCW application, it asks you, have you ever been denied before? And I think most places would probably understand if you got denied by LAPD or San Francisco Sheriff's, but at the same time, it's still not nothing.
Well, so, what you're describing is very similar to what we were dealing with in San Diego. There was this narrative, really, and this belief that they wouldn't issue, and it was based on fact. It's not like it was, it was out of thin air, but there was a belief that they wouldn't issue based on the fact that they weren't issuing. So nobody applied.
And you guys really pushed David Myers, right?
Well, we endorsed Myers when he ran for sheriff, but and that helped us get to Sheriff Gore and get him to start issuing. But when the problem was,
that was huge news. I just remember that was just something that stuck out to me. I was like, wow, it just kind of flashed, like a lighthouse for everybody. Like, hey, this is the way to go, kind of thing. All
right. Well, thanks for saying. I mean, we worked really hard, and people, you can get it. People are getting CCWs in San Diego now. I mean, it's a 180. Yeah. But that's awesome. Before that happened, when we would talk to the sheriff, he'd say, well, nobody's applying, and the 2 or 3 or whatever, 10 people that are applying, 90% of them are getting approved. And so, that's part of the fight. That was part of the problem. And it sounds like in San Francisco, they've created this same narrative based on fact. But now you're up against kind of the same problem. And, I don't know if they had 2,000 applications tomorrow, it wouldn't necessarily solve the problem, but it's definitely one piece of the problem. It's one piece of the solution. Yeah. It sounds like that's the next step. Hey, you know what? Hold on. We're going to hold you into the next segment, and we're going to talk more about this. Raymond Kim, thanks, man. Hold on for just a minute.
PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. Are you in the military looking for help for a VA loan? Well, if you're looking to buy or refi, or if you're just considering a reverse mortgage, give our guy a call. That would be Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or primeres.com/Alpine. All right, let's get back to Raymond Kim.
Yeah, we're talking to Raymond about the possibility of getting a CCW in San Francisco, and he's gone to battle, I guess, with the San Francisco Sheriff's Department, and they're actually making noise that, hey, we're looking for applicants. Is that fair to say? Do you think that Raymond, that they're basically saying, yeah, all right, let's get some applications in and see how it goes?
I think it's not even there yet. It's to the point where it's kind of they're still foreign with the concept of a CCW. I mean, if you look at their requirements for their training requirements to pass, I mean, of course, it's always good to train more and to be as trained as possible, but you have to qualify from 25 yards. And I mean, obviously, if you have one of these pocket pistols that you pocket carry, I mean, at 25 yards, that's pretty tough because you're optimally it's for 10 yards or less. So I mean, it seems like they're trying to. It's kind of like somewhat discouraging and somewhat they don't think. It seems like a foreign concept to them, but then I spent a lot of time trying to talk to them and trying to normalize it just so they can hear that, hey, other counties have there's over 200,000 CCWs in California, and there's all this data that shows it's going to reduce violent crime, and that's what we're seeing in Texas and North Carolina where all the CCW data is available. Yeah, I was trying to just talk to them and normalize it because. A lot of times in San Francisco, like if you talk about guns, like, oh, you're the bad guy kind of thing, So it's like you're LGBTQ in the 1980s, basically.
Well, they're setting you up to fail, is what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're setting you up so that you fail, and then they can say, "Well, you didn't pass the requirements. Sorry."
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I'd like to, I think people are still getting used to the idea that, hey, a sheriff's good cause is a reason that he can be elected or not elected. And I think, that just having come this far where people can even realize that, I think it's great because, if you remember 3-4 years ago, people waiting for 2-3 years for their CCW interview or their live scan, they actually believe that a live scan is going to take a year or two. Yeah. People actually believe it's going to take 2 or 3 years because that's how long the background check takes.
No.
And they have nobody to verify whether that's true or not. There is so much misinformation out there. I think now that we're at least transmitting the correct good cause and hey, a sheriff's good cause is a valid reason to elect or not. And I think getting people educated and getting people aware of their rights and how all these different pieces are connected, I think we've come a long way to do that. And I think especially with everything you guys did.
Well, and how familiar with the sheriff's department in San Francisco are you?
Well, not. I mean, I know. I guess it's kind of strange. Like the San Francisco police and San Francisco sheriffs, they overlap jurisdictions.
Right.
But then the police department does all the, on the ground work, and the sheriff manages the jail or something like that. So they don't really do anything.
Yeah, San Francisco is both a county and a city, and their real law enforcement is the San Francisco PD, and then all the sheriff does is manage jails. So. And licensing, they do licensing, which is why you have to go to them for a CCW. But it's not like it's it's not like this is their job. It's a bureaucracy. The sheriff's department in San Francisco is a bureaucracy. It's not really a law enforcement agency. And I'm not trying to insult them, but that's the reality. They manage a jail. They issue licenses. So this is right in line. It should be.
It should be easy.
It should be easy. They should have some kind of procedure and process in place.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the only reason to vote now for sheriffs, for San Francisco is the good cause requirement. And I think, I think just getting, given how many members joined from San Francisco in the past 2-3 months, I mean, really hoping to get, more awareness going before the sheriff's election and trying to get more data from people that either gets approved or denied.
And let's talk about joined what group. Tell them what group you represent.
Oh, it's the Asian American Gun Owners of California. I mean, it's, I completely understand that, I mean, it's not to, it has a, ethnic name on it because, traditionally a lot of, Asian Americans, we don't, we never, the vast majority of us didn't have, families that took us to learn for the first time, because this is kind of a, First Amendment rights and, Second Amendment rights, all these constitutional rights are something that, the kids of immigrant families are, growing up with kind of not, being taught by their parents, but just kind of being taught by school or by society. And as you know, in California, there's, none, hardly any constitutional civic engagement and, keeping government accountable, none of that is taught or emphasized. So just kind of a lot of this, it's just kind of a way so that people can, understand that, this is something that I can do as well and it's normal for me to do. And I see that, other people that also didn't grow up with it, are embracing their Second Amendment rights. So I guess this is normal kind of thing. And, anybody is welcome to join. It's just the only requirement is that you believe in the Second Amendment or you're curious about it. And that's the only requirement there is to join.
So you had an influx of members joining the Asian American Gun Owners of California from San Francisco, and that's what led you to do some research on CCWs. So is it time to start submitting applications, or what do you think the next step is?
I definitely think, people in San Francisco should be applying, but at the same time should be applying with, in mind that, hey, this is my good cause and, if I get rejected for it, I want everyone to know so that we can do something about it election time. I think if they have that mindset.
Do you guys have do you have somebody running against your current sheriff? If the election's coming up,
Yeah, I'm not really sure actually. Yeah, I don't know who ran against Sheriff Miyamoto or anything like that. But I'm actually not aware.
Because it's an interesting. I mean, that really is. I mean, because they don't really have law enforcement officers, meaning that they don't have. They're not pulling over speeders and investigating drug crimes. That's all the San Francisco PD. This really it becomes that much more of his job. It's that much.
It's his job.
It's a bigger percentage of his job. One of the things that we kept running into was people saying, "Well, gee, CCWs, the sheriff has to worry about this and this and that and that, and law enforcement, and the border, and the thing, and the this and the that." Well, in San Francisco, none of that. He's not worrying about any of that. He's just supposed to look after some jails and issue some permits, issue some licenses. So, hey, why?
They got a lot of licenses in San Francisco. He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Well, Dianne Feinstein definitely had one when she was SS supervisor. She admitted it on TV. So.
Did it take her a year to get it?
Yeah, probably not. She probably got it, on a piece of paper at dinner time at some fundraiser. So
you do know you're not going to the San Francisco Sheriff's Christmas party. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of thing. I feel like people in San Francisco, they can't really call in pressure because they live there and they're scared that what if this is a strike against me? So I kind of like the idea of, hey, I can call in. They can't really do anything to me because I don't live there. So they can't deny me my CCW permit.
So what do you think the interest is in Asian American gun owners in California? If there's been an uptick, is it just more awareness or what do you think's going on?
Well, I mean, I think we're still at the stage where newer members, there's still this association like, oh, if you carry a gun, that means you want to kill somebody. It's just like, no, you carry a firearm because you want to be able to stop a deadly threat against your life or great bodily harm. There's still this, there's still a lot of, because the vast majority of our members live in or grew up in, very, anti-Second Amendment areas. So I think just kind of getting them to see that, all of these underlying assumptions behind gun ownership, what they're told by the media or, whatever social circles that they're a part of, that all those kind of assumptions are wrong. These are, we're not trying to go out and kill, shoot people. We just want to defend. We want to be able to stop a deadly threat. And there's a lot of, the types of deadly threats out there. I mean, you can see, through all the what's been going on that in a lot of those situations, I mean, if you're a woman or an elderly person, nobody's coming to save you.
I was going to say, who else is going to protect you?
You are your own first responder.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with being Chinese, Japanese. Has nothing to do with any of that. It has everything to do with having a right to protect yourself because the San Francisco PD is not going to be able to do it, and neither is the sheriff.
Yeah, and you'd be amazed at how many people are surrounded by people that believe in all of these things, and I'm telling you, they think they need to defund police, they need to release all these criminals from jail, and then also take everybody's guns away. Like they're surrounded by people that believe in all three of these things, and it's just, I guess if you just kind of grew up with that, it's hard to, you really need to kind of break yourself away from that in some way, and hopefully that group.
Well, then it blows up in your face, and then what do you do?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Well, Raymond, I'll tell you.
I guess in that situation, they another way is thinking, well, if you were rich enough, I guess you could have had your own bodyguard or lived in an area.
That's all it takes.
Armed security. It's like, oh, it's your fault for not being rich enough.
Well, Raymond, check out. So for anybody that's looking to apply, they need proof of good cause, which is a good cause statement followed by another piece of paper that proves what you say in your good cause statement. That's what they're looking for in most counties. So anybody that's looking to apply, I highly recommend that they look at San Diego's explanation of good cause and how we recommend you apply.
San Diego County Gun Owners.
San Diego County Gun Owners.com, or if you go to Orange.
I remember when I saw your guys' video about 3 years ago, something like that. I was blown away because you guys normalized it.
Yeah, we
that
did.
video, it normalized having a CCW.
Because we got better air
People
down
that
here.
saw that video.
We got better air down
Raymond,
here.
thank you so much, man. Thanks for what you're doing. Look forward to talking to you again. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, and love everything you guys are doing.
Keep
Thanks,
up
man.
the good fight, Raymond.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.